All right. Welcome today to our weekly Wise on September 1st. For those who are a little less familiar, I'll introduce weekly Wise. First off, hello to our online audience. Glad to have you with us. Thank you for joining, and whether you're watching the recording after or you're here with us live, glad to have you here. Weekly Wise got started back in, what was it, probably April, I think, is when we first began. And we've held it every week since. We, even on our anniversary, we swear it fell, and we kept it going. And it is an opportunity where we wanted to create a lot of value by bringing in lots of different people and having them have the opportunity to share their why, what's meaningful to them, what drives them. And I'm not going to spend very much time on that because that's what the whole thing is about today. And I am going to bring up our friend Daniel Blomberg. He was a guest here just about a month ago. And from that, we met Chris, and now he's here. So I'll let Daniel introduce him. So come on up and let you take it away.
All right, Chris Gylseth, or as I know him, Christian Tarje Gylseth. There's a Scandinavian saying that says, "A dear child has many names," and I guess that's why Norwegians all have double first names and double last names. I don't know. Anyway, so this may be the one of well, it might be not quite the presenter from furthest away, but second furthest away in the history of Weekly Wise, all the way from Norway, although Chris now lives in Spanish Fork with his wife Juliana, and he has amazing business chops, and that's one of many reasons I can say that, is that every time I talk to him, whenever we reconnect every year or two, he always has a new project and a new job title. So without further ado, I think we'll just give you Christian Tarje Gylseth.
Thank you for the introduction, Daniel. And it is true, I'm involved with a lot of things. The cool thing is that I usually don't just skip on to the next thing. I just have to stay with one thing and then add more to it. Anyhow, what we're going to talk about today is, since these meetings talk about the weekly whys and people share their whys, we're going to talk a little bit about finding your why. But before we go into that and why that is important and why we are talking about these whys and some action steps, we're actually going to go through and give a little demo of questions and a kind of an assessment process that you can use to find your own why, or help yourself find your own why. Before that, I want to share a little bit of a story. This is kind of my own story. This has got to be about 8 or 9 years ago now. I went down the streets of Oslo, Norway, and as many times before, I saw the people that were out there begging for money because they wanted money for drugs. And the difference was that on this occasion, I actually stopped and not just, get money or anything, but actually had a good conversation with one of these guys. And I admit that prior to this conversation, I had been relatively naive and thought that most people that were on the streets and drug addicts were probably high school dropouts, not very smart, and all these things. And there are certainly probably people that are like that as well, but I quickly discovered that these people, most times, they're highly educated people. They're smart. They just stepped on a wrong track somewhere along their lives. And in this case, this particular guy was a very accomplished graphic designer. And he was waiting for his chance to go into rehab, and he was very, very excited about it. And he wanted to go through that, have a good experience, and come back out and get back into regular life, pick up a job again, and pick up kind of where he dropped off. Fast forward a little bit of time, just a few months, I see this young girl begging on the street, and she actually looked really good. So I didn't think she was a drug addict or anything like that. So I said, excuse me for asking, but you kind of look too good to be sitting here begging for money. And she told me her story, and she had just gone through rehab. She had all sorts of good things to say about that, and she was really, really excited and stoked when she was done. She'd go out, find an apartment, find a job, and get on to a new life. Now the problem was, because she had the label of a drug addict, nobody wanted to give her a job. And because she didn't have a job, she didn't have an income. And because she didn't have a job and an income, she couldn't get an apartment, so she was back out on the street. She was begging for money because she didn't want to prostitute herself, and she didn't want to steal. So there's another person that I met that wanted something radically different, and they didn't want to fall back into old habits, and they were good people. And from that, a thought process started, and I thought, there's got to be something more that can be done for these people, and to make them assets of society instead of a liability to society. I started some reach outs, and actually got some good connections right away, and somehow things didn't move along exactly the way I thought, and the connections I had all of a sudden kind of dropped off, and I was unable to find those connections again, even though I tried diligently to do so. And the point is, these experiences never really left me. And so, over the course of all these years, I thought about, how can you put this into a system that works? And pretty soon it became not just about helping drug addicts get back into life, but anybody that wants to add to their income, or anybody that's been laid off, or is just looking for something new, or they have this business idea and they just don't know where to start. Because through all the experiences they have with the different entrepreneurship classes, books to read on business and everything like that, I felt that most of the things talked about, once you're at step or level 2, 3, or beyond, so you already have a product, you already have some traction, you have a few customers, you know, and I felt there was very little that covered that step of, I don't have anything, where do you start? And what do you do? And how do you take it from there? And, you know, when you read these great books, how do you apply what's in those books to yourself? And so from that, I started to develop a business entrepreneurship curriculum. And the first part in that is finding the why. Why is this so important? A friend of mine, and his name is Gylseth, and you might hear that that's with the Swedish pronunciation, and he's from Sweden. He runs McCarthy Business Consulting, or business management, I mean. And he always used to say, if you know the why, the how is easy. And for many years, I thought about this and thought, well, I think it seems almost easier to find a how and then, you know, figure out the why later. But that was until I found what I understood was my why. And so boiling that down from the story I just told you, my why, what drives me, is being able to help people find, get, or create their own jobs. So starting with the why. How is that so important, and how did that statement of find, when you know the why, that how is easy, become so true once I figured this out? Well, about a year ago, I had this feeling that I really needed to start acting on these thoughts that I had for all these years and kind of put it into action. And the interesting thing was, as soon as I did, I had people actually calling me and saying, you know, I just thought of you, I got this going on, how would that fit in with what you do, I would love your help. And most of all these things fit right into what I was trying to do. So I didn't even need to figure out the how too much. It came because I acted on what was my right why. So that's kind of what happens when you got the why and you understand it, you act upon it. And I'm not saying that just from my own experience. I have seen that with so many other people that I've talked to and met along the way over the years. Now, having that why in the background is still going to remain important. And why is that? It's because once it gets tough, and it will, there's no doubt about it. I don't know about anybody that has started a business or done any work toward any worthwhile goal in life that hasn't encountered some obstacles along the way. Or maybe even the fact that you just kind of keep pushing at it, and at one point you just feel like you're not moving anywhere and you want to give up, or maybe you're trying so hard and all these things, and it almost bores you. You want to make sure you don't stop short of what you can achieve. So knowing that why is going to help you to push through that and to keep that vision going. So let's get into it, and let's get into some of the questions. And we're going to go through here, and I'm going to ask Matthew here a little bit to be my subject, and we're going to go through and kind of figure this out a little bit on his account. But if you go to provenio.com, that is provenio.com, there's going to be a tab on that site that says Finding Your Why. Click that tab, and you can just enter your email and name, and you will get everything that we talk about here in a PDF, and you can work on it on your own. If you have any questions or would like some additional help, feel free to reach out with an email, and that's the email is stated in the PDF as well, and I'll be happy to guide you through the process. Well, let's begin here. So, Matthew.
Yeah.
If money, health, time, and age were not an issue, what would you like to do in your spare time?
I would create a family camp in Costa Rica.
Okay. Family camp in Costa Rica.
Yep.
Cool. So what is this family camp going to do?
It's going to be a place, well, it's going to serve a number of purposes, but the core of it is to inspire righteousness in families.
Okay. To inspire righteousness.
Yep.
Okay.
It took a lot of work to ever get to that point, to know those words. But
why Costa Rica?
It's where I served as a missionary. And
okay.
So ever since I left, I knew my heart was there, and I wanted to go back, and I wanted to do things to make it a better place for people.
Very good. So why inspire righteousness?
Because I believe that living a righteous life, so I'll talk about each word. That living a righteous life brings happiness. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if I chose the word righteousness, then it's very much a religious thing, right? I believe that. Though I'm not as focused on religion as I am just sincere righteous living, moral, good, upright living. And I say inspire. The reason I chose righteousness over goodness, I found that we all have the sense of, if it's like, oh, inspire goodness, okay, that's probably great for someone else.
Right.
We all have the sense of that, so-and-so needs this. But righteousness, I think we all have a sense that we're not perfect.
Right.
And so righteousness also gives that sense of, I can improve, I can get something out of it. So that's why righteousness. I chose the word inspire because coercion doesn't work for righteousness. That it's a matter of the heart. And there's no way that I can do anything to get someone to live righteously. All I can do is inspire them to make the choice.
Pretty point. You always have thought about this, I can tell.
I have a lot.
You know, since you're usually hosting these weekly wise, I'm guessing, you know, we're only going to have a pretty clear why, but we're going to go through this and we're going to see if we can discover more things.
I'm always up for gaining more clarity.
So this was on as a spare time, but obviously this seems to be more than just spare time. But
yeah, this is like life mission right here.
Right.
Yeah, you bet.
But if I ask the question again, if money, health, age, and time were no issue, what kind of profession would you have?
Profession. I was ready to say, what would you do? I was going to say, eat ice cream.
It's a good one.
I mean, if health was no issue, let me tell you, I would be like, ice cream would be breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So what
I agree with you on that one.
What kind of profession would I have? It would be, I'd be on stage.
On stage, okay.
Yeah, I definitely would be on stage.
Why would you be on stage?
I get an exhilaration out of it. I love it. Every experience I've had being on stage.
Exhilaration, okay.
Yeah, like after it. I used to dance when I was in high school, college and stuff, and the feeling I get after a performance was just an absolute high, and I get that same thing out of being on stage. I just, like, after I get to share something I feel is really meaningful or helpful, or it could be inspiring to someone, I get a total high out of it. So, yeah, I absolutely love it.
Cool, love it. So, tell me about a couple of things that make you happy.
Playing in the snow.
Playing in the snow, okay, awesome. Why does that make you happy?
I have no idea. I just love it. Whenever it snows, like, I wish I don't have to go to, I wish snow days applied to work. Because there's been multiple times that because it snowed and it's snowing in the night, I have just stayed up all night long building a big snow fort in our yard, and like a slide as tall as me, you know, in our yard for our kids. And I love seeing the kids play on it. I love playing in the snow with our kids. And anyway, it just excites. It's fun. I love it. I'm happy. Like, I'm absolutely happy when I do it.
Very good. Okay. What are some of the things that give you energy?
Playing in the snow definitely fits that. That's a really good question. Playing ultimate frisbee.
Ultimate frisbee. Okay.
Playing ultimate frisbee. That wears me out of energy after a while of it, but I'm still on a high afterwards. Let's see. What gives me energy?
So why does it give you a high?
Again, I'm not sure. Like, what is so interesting about running after a flying disc? I don't know, but it's fun.
Is it the fact of running and trying to catch it, or is it the teamwork, or is it?
I'm sure the exercise and like the concept of exercising, what are those things called that does to your brain, the chemical release?
Endorphins.
Endorphins, yeah. I'm sure that's part of it, but specifically ultimate frisbee. There may be some nostalgia to it. Like, I played it all through high school and had a passion for it then, just kind of fell in love with the sport then, and so there may be some of that to it. I feel like I have a talent for it.
Okay.
It's something I can do well.
So it's a feeling of accomplishment, really, and maybe even
contribution.
Yeah, maybe even, performing better than others.
There's probably both types of pride. The pride of accomplishment that's good, and the pride of comparison that's bad. There's probably both of that in there. Fair enough.
It's fine.
To be honest about it.
But just one thing here, as you download this and you go through this assessment on your own, the more honest you are with yourself, the more you're going to discover, and the deeper you're going to dig through this. I went through an exercise like this some years back, and it was amazing. When I was done, and Gylseth was the one that did it. It was a little bit of a different format, but the result was that I had to stop and think, and I felt that some of the things we touched upon, they were rooted way back in my childhood. I'm not sure if we're going to do this online here now, but principle is still the same. So let's continue here. Okay, so those are some of the things that give you energy. Give me a topic that you could talk about for hours on that.
Money.
Money. Okay. What aspect of money?
Lots of different aspects, but specifically, I love to where money meets relationships is one area I like. The principles of generating wealth, managing that wealth, being in charge, controlling it as opposed to just watching where your expenses go. The idea of
relationship and then managing wealth and growing wealth and generating.
Talking about cash flow versus accumulation, just lots of money mindset. Money. I love to eliminate money bickering, which actually goes more into the relationship. That has very little to do with money generally. It has a lot more to do with building and understanding relationships and things like that. Negotiating in relationships. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't want to start going on forever and ever.
No, it could take forever, and we could go really big into this. A true process is probably going to take about 2-3 hours to go through properly, but we're just going to go through this and kind of get a bit of sense of this. And pay attention to kind of the follow-up questions that I ask whenever he says something, because those are kind of the triggers that let you explore the emotional side of what drives you. So,
one thing, if I can comment about the family camp, I thought when you said rooted in childhood, it just brought to mind a couple things. One, I went to, as a child there were 4 different years, I went to Aspen Grove. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that's a family campus nearby that my family went to when I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And besides going for the cute girl that I knew worked there, it was a hugely wonderful experience. I loved that place. Every memory I have of that place is just everything that's happy. So that's one. And also, my grandpa, who I never knew, but I've heard stories, he ran a family camp in Southern California, a place called Arrowhead. And that's so I feel like there's a connection there as well. So I
I wrote down happy as well. Okay. Tell me, and this question is not kind of daily things to do for your family or work or whatever, but when was the last time you went out of your way to serve somebody?
I feel a little bit of embarrassment that I'm not even sure.
Can you think of one thing you did, and that doesn't have to be the very last thing you did, but one thing you did where you kind of stepped out of your zone a little bit to serve somebody? Whether that was out of your comfort zone or out of your time commitment zone or whatever zone that was. So it's a question you can think about. We don't have to touch on it right now.
Hey, you got me stumped, and now I'm.
Let me ask you this instead. When you serve somebody, because I know you do, so you shouldn't feel embarrassed. It's just, drawing a light there, that's fine. But when you serve somebody, do you do it, is it, the reason why I'm asking it this way is because I've come across a lot of people, and some people, they just have this burning desire to always go and serve people, and they just can't wait for the next opportunity. And some people, once they get there, they're fine with it and they love it and they have a great experience, but it's a little more of a drag to get there. And for myself, I find myself probably somewhere in the middle there. Where would you say you're at as far as that? What kind of feelings come up when an opportunity to serve comes along?
It depends. It depends on what the service is, to be entirely honest. As you were talking, I thought of a month or two ago, their house got egged, and I got a call and say, hey, can you come help clean? And I was just like, okay, sure. And it was a time commitment change. It was, things like that. And I didn't have a problem with that so much as I'm not a manual labor guy. I didn't like the idea of doing the work of that did not sound fun to me at all.
How did you feel afterwards though?
Oh, great. Totally worth it for sure. And, but yeah, that activity there are some ways of serving people that it's like, heavens, yes, I'll do that in a second. Shoot, you could pay me. I'd be happy,
Right.
I would pay you to go do this service for you kind of thing. I mean, so yeah.
I don't think we all have that. So, but thinking about the types of services that we like and why and kind of what's the underlying feelings there, also help us to see, because everything we talked about so far is, although you have the inspire righteousness, it's still kind of centered around you and your desires.
It's true.
Service kind of, we step outside ourselves and we cater to somebody else's needs or desires. Well, let's get back a little bit onto us, and we'll just run quickly through this in the interest of time here. But what gets you up in the morning?
Lately, knowing that if I don't get up to my alarm, I got to report to an accountability partner.
Okay.
And if I don't, then I know that at the next Weekly Wise, I don't get to have ice cream, because that's what we set for ourselves.
All right.
So that's one thing that gets me up in the morning. But sorry, that was just the first thing I thought of. But when I think answering more to what you're really trying to ask is.
I'm not really trying to ask anything.
Okay. As far as the more intrinsic, I guess I could say, motivation is I'm building a business. And so when I'm getting up, part of it is I know I have a list of things that I want to get done, and I've kind of mapped it out each day, each week. I map out each day some commitments that I need to get done to be able to reach my goals that I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And that gets me going.
So I love sleep, and I would sleep all day if I could. But probably not, because I get bored of it. But I do love sleep. But I always heard about people like Anthony Robbins or other highly successful people and how they talk about just sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night because they're just so excited for what they're doing that they can't sleep. They just have to get up, Now I've had times where I've had so many things on my plate that if I do sleep more than 5 hours, I feel I'm not going to get done what I need to get done. But I've also had times where after 4 to 5 hours, I wake up and I'm like, I'm just kind of excited and thrilled. I think I should get up and do something. And I don't always do it, but it's a whole different feeling than feeling that overwhelmed, stressed feeling. So that's kind of why I asked that question, because once we tap into our true why, you're going to experience that more often. That you wake up and you're just so excited. You're in that. You're doing that why, and it just makes you filled with energy in ways that you just couldn't describe before. What drives you to perform?
My family. I think of them. I think of my wife. I know that my wife sees me as, it's kind of that funny thing where you both know you married up, and you wonder how in the world the other spouse thinks that they married up. But I know she looks up to me and looks in that kind of a way, and just expects that I will, because she believes in me.
Yeah.
And
belief in you is important.
Yeah, and that's that is a driver for me to perform for sure.
Cool. So last few questions, very quick, just kind of the short answer version of that. How would you like other people to introduce you?
Oh, that's a good question.
Okay, caring.
Professional. Inspiring.
And inspiring. Let's stop there. I'm sure there's more.
There are,
Just
but
stop
those,
there.
I think those are some of the core ones.
Okay. How would you like people to talk about you when you're with them?
While I'm with them, I don't know that I normally want people to talk about me while I'm with them.
Okay.
While I'm with them. Compliments are always nice, genuine compliments.
Okay.
That I love it when I hear someone say something to the effect of, hey, I really liked when you did or said this. That was meaningful to me.
Genuine compliment.
Yeah, something that's
specifically related to something.
Yeah.
Okay, good. How would you like people to talk about you when you're there?
Similarly, like, hey, I was, reading such and such, or I heard someone say that such and such, and they're talking about me being that someone. Yeah, it was Matt Parks, and I really liked it when he said this. It really just made a difference for me. And making that kind of impact, there was, do you want me to take the time to do a brief example about that or not right now?
You could, it's up to you.
Okay.
I mean, you run the show here.
I'll do it briefly. There was a time when I was a teenager that I had an interaction with a young woman. She was cute, but there was nothing there, but she was cute. And I won't go into the details of it, but later, it was not but 2 years ago or so that she found me on Facebook. I had long since not known where in the world she was. And she told me how meaningful that one conversation and a compliment to some things that we've been talking about had been for her, and how it really made her think hard about some things in her life, and turn around and how she has shared her own story of our experience with a lot of other young women that have inspired them. And boy, I cried. I mean, that meant the world to me.
Wow, that is good. I'm glad to share that.
So that was kind of a highlight for me.
Kind of leads me to the next question, which sometimes is a little tough question for people. How would you like people to remember you once you're no longer in this world?
So kind, caring. I don't know about professional. I don't know that's as important.
But inspiring, maybe?
Inspiring, and that a man who valued his relationships and cared.
Valued relationships, okay. So we have 2 more questions. Next one is, how would you like to see yourself? Or how would you like to feel about yourself?
I would like to see myself in these ways.
Okay.
I'd like to see myself and believe about myself that I am someone who has a significant impact in people's lives, and a significant number of people's lives. I'd like to be someone who really can make a difference on the planet.
It's interesting because belief is coming up before too. You believe in yourself this time, but or what somebody else believing in you. Last question. If you would achieve all of this, how would that make you feel?
Oh, it's big and nice. I'll be doing that one shortly. It just exhilarates. I mean, that's like completely fulfilled.
Fulfilled.
Absolutely, completely fulfilled.
Getting kind of crammed here on the board, but I'm going to write fulfilled. So, just kind of summarize here. We got kind, caring, professional, inspiring, compliments, accountable, value relationship, money, wealth, tied in with relationship, believe, impact, inspire, righteousness, fulfill, Also some into just exhilaration, nostalgia, just from doing things. Family is obviously a great part of it. These are all things that are, hopefully you discovered some things about yourself in this process and kind of.
I want to take a picture of this before we erase it.
Just so you can do that.
That's great.
So, what you would do is take all these things with yourself and really kind of distill it down to just a few words, because some of these things can kind of go together. They're closely related words, and so we got inspiring and inspired. We only need one of them, So probably, inspire is a good one. Believe, impact. Relationships, something you talk a lot about. And kind of the kind and caring. So would you say kind or would you say caring? You want to choose one of them?
How do you choose between those two? If you're caring, you're going to be kind. I'm going to say caring.
Okay. So caring. And there are certain things you can do more there. So kind of what you would do with this is you would say, okay, what do I need to do to go in and achieve these different things there? And for me, I had a lot of the same things. I had, I wanted to help people. I wanted to be on stage. But in order to be on stage, I first had to help people. So there's kind of some processes in there. And so I still had kind of this map, but it wasn't, there was a direction for me, and it was a way for me to see, okay, what are the key words that I need to make sure that I pay attention to in things that I do? And these are the key words. These are the ones that impact your decisions and that will get you to kind of your why. But then through experience and through thinking about it and through kind of acting, that's when I found the why, which was more of the, or the why combined with the how, which was the method and what does that actually mean? Okay, so help people or inspire people, but what does that mean, Family camp, okay, that's great, but that can be so many things, So you take that kind of and say, okay, well, it needs to be impactful. There's got to be a lot of belief on every end. People are attending, people are, So this is a goal with the family camp, but it all ties down because you got family here, you got relationships a couple places, So obviously, your why is tied in with family, relationships, and then kind of that inspiring providing an impact. And then the question is, what is it that you can do on a daily basis that will make you live within that? Now, because goals that we have, like the family camp, they're out there, and they can definitely be achieved, but
it is the how to the why.
Right. It takes a little bit of longer time to kind of get there. And so by understanding these key components of your why, it helps you to better state a more precise why. And then once you know that, you know what you can do to make that possible. Does that make sense?
That was awesome. Do that. Thank you.
So again, this process, it works. Similar process, like I said, has been used on me. His process is probably even better, but I can't copy his. But I've added stuff that or We're taking stuff that I have seen, that I've experienced in my own life. And again, like I said, it's not just about the direction and finding these keywords, but these keywords are very important to understanding, you know, what is my why? What are the things that are going to help me? So for me, it was standing on stage. I'm kind of doing that right now. And it's tied to my why, which ended up being not just helping people, but helping them get a job or get into business to get a job. You know, basically, also kind of tying in with money and wellness. I wanted people to be financially self-reliant, you know, regardless of the situation they're in. So as you kind of go about with the things you're doing, the goals that you have, and that's the part we don't go into now for this presentation. So we could actually line out a perfectly fine why for you based on this, but that's kind of the next step. This is the process to assess what is the key components of the why, and then using those to line it out in what you're already doing or what you could be doing without going to the big blown out can't quite yet, but it will lead there. That's what I had. Any questions? Feel free to contact me, Perino.com. You can find my contact form, or you can send it to info@perino.com with any questions you have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. That was fantastic for me. I loved it. It was great. I'm definitely taking a picture of this and going to be considering it more. And so that this is so aligned with what we're trying to do here at Weekly Wise, is really be able to hone in and share. And thank you so much for sharing some of your why at the beginning. That's what I feel gives really a sense of inspiration to what these meetings are about. Because at least I feel like hearing your why, that inspires me to want to live mine. When I hear, you know, Daniel's why, same thing. Each time I meet with someone, I can kind of sense or get from them, this is why I do what I do. This is what drives me. This is what I really believe in. Boy, that just inspires me to want to get more clear on mine and live it. And so thank you so much. I really appreciated this. We are now going to step into the second portion of our meeting, which is just a brief presentation about Strongbrook, which is our business that we have that we're using to sponsor this. And to do that, actually, Daniel has agreed to come and share with you a little bit about his why and how it relates. So, Daniel, turn the timer to you.
So I love people, and I could talk all day about relationships and why I really can't be fulfilled unless I'm engaged in helping other people. My why is faith and family, and then I have a bunch of hows that get me there. That get me to be involved in things that let me work on topics that relate to faith and or family. Strongbrook has been, for me, one of those mind-boggling, mind-blowing experiences where I just have gotten to grow together with some very amazing people. I joined as an independent business developer of Strongbrook in May, not really knowing what I was getting into, only having an intuition that this was going to be very good for me. And boy, was I right. I can probably say that I have had more personal growth and development this past summer than I've had in the last 10 years. I have learned more about myself as a person because I hang out with people who are willing to work on themselves as a person and willing to develop, willing to look into themselves and ask the hard questions. Why am I the way I am, and what's so awesome about it? And how can I use my why? How can I use my abilities? And how can I use my assets, my resources to serve and bless other people? And for me, that's just, it just doesn't get any better than that. So Strongbrook has two major aspects of its operations, and the one we're talking about is the mentoring network. There's also real estate, and so the mentoring network is a collection of very accomplished individuals, mentors, speakers, coaches, etc., who have pooled or put in their resources. So instead of just existing on their own website, they put it into this vault. We call it mentoring vault. And so up until recently, you would pay a $99 fee every month, and you would be able to access all of this content. I can't even remember how many dozens of mentors we're up to now, but there's plenty of knowledge, whether you want to develop your, whether it's finance, sales and marketing, general business skills, whether it's relationships, whether it's health and fitness, whether it's personal development in general you're interested in, you can find something in the mentoring network. And the vault is full of knowledge. And I know Matt has had a goal to partake of that every day recently, and it's just something that makes me really happy, and really has helped me to up my game on several fronts. So what changed recently is instead of having to pay $99, which is in itself an amazing deal because you get hundreds, you get thousands of dollars worth of value in the mentoring network, and just by way of $99 per month, you're able to have access to all of this. But what changed just recently is that Strongbrook released some of their content for free, and so now you get access to amazing content, and you don't even have to pay the $99 a month. You and anyone you know can partake of this amazing training, and it's completely free. So that to me, well, let me say, there are two ways of doing this. So either you can go to the website, www.strongbrook.com, or you can download the app. And there's just search for Strongbrook in the App Store or whatever you use. I know that there are some people that for some reason use iPhones, and I won't get into why. Anyway, let's not go there. Anyways, so so you just search for Strongbrook on the App Store, and you'll find that. And this app actually has the free content, and then should you feel like that's not enough for you, then you can upgrade. And there will be an access code, and just ask the person who invited you to learn about Strongbrook for the access code, and they will give that to you, and then you'll be able to access the content for free. Again, I cannot encourage you highly enough to partake of this content. If you are feeling that you're at a time in your life when you want to grow, you want to up your game in some level of your life, get with the Strongbrook community. It's amazing people. There are fantastic, inspiring mentors, and it will change your life. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. So yes, I think if you have a chance right now, you got your phone, go grab it, go to your app store, download, search for Strongbrook, get it downloaded, and you may have already said this. Sorry, I had to step out to grab some ice cream real quick. To use the invitation code, or get that invitation code from the person who invited you to this, and get using the app. It's so much good content, and really can make a difference, make an impact, it can inspire. So with that, Chris, would you come on up? We'll do we like to do an unboxing ceremony, so to speak, just like when technology things are introduced. Let's move this back just a little, shall I? They do an unboxing of some new product. We like to do that with the ice cream. So Chris's favorite flavor of Ben & Jerry's is everything but the This is a collision of chocolate and vanilla ice creams. I actually don't have this one completely memorized because it has so much in it. Mix with peanut butter cups, fudge-covered toffee pieces, white chocolatey chunks, and fudge-covered almonds.
So I love the name because there's not much missing there.
No, there's not. It has a lot in it. I'm going to give you a sense of what it looks like. Online, I know this might be mean, I'm sorry. Even a nice good gooey part right there. Oh yeah, good stuff. So, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And that's for you.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll conclude. So thank you much. Join us next week to mention is going to be Chris Miles. If you know him or don't know him, he is, how do I even put words to him? He is an amazing fellow. He is basically what I would consider the king of cash flow. He really understands the principles behind cash flow, how money works, and he's going to be here sharing some of his why. I've spent 2 days with him and invested money just to go listen to this man. Fantastic content. And he's going to be sharing some of his history, his why, and how he went from leaving a corporate job to starting his own business, really based on just his why. And it wasn't exactly a comfortable situation for him to make that move, but it's just a fantastic story. So
I'll put a plug in for Chris too. I actually know him personally for a few years before even the Stronger Mentoring Network was created, and his take on both business finances, but also your personal finances, whether you want to get out of debt or grow your wealth, whatever you want to do, it's absolutely priceless. So make sure you stay tuned for that.
cool. Thanks. So Chris endorsing Chris. There you go. See you next week. Let's go get some ice cream.